My name is Mike Sessler, and this is my story. So growing up, we were a really tight family. My dad always coached baseball. We always spent time together, that was like the positive side, great time during holidays. But there was a darker side to it. My dad quickly developed a dependency on pain pills. There's a lot of pain going on growing up, and unfortunately some of that was taken out on me. Like I said, it was kind of a weird dichotomy of this happy family that's together, but also a lot of struggles, a lot of pain, a lot of negativity that really just, as I was growing up, I think that's part of the reason why I'm bipolar is besides genetically, I dealt with, a wide range of these issues. Junior year was really rough on me. I was going through a lot of seasonal depression, and I just decided to drop out. So I dropped out of high school, and my parents, who were supportive but obviously really worried about me, they sent me to get psychiatric help. And that's when I first went on psychiatric meds like Prozac. I was very, like when you're bipolar, you have your highs, and then you have the lowest of lows. And depending on what med I was on, it was either one or the other. I was never quote unquote normal. After I was diagnosed and after I started receiving treatment, it got harder and harder for me to hold a job. Either I would abuse certain anti-anxiety medications and kind of lose track of days, because that's what happens when you take some of them. There was a few times where I didn't show up to work because I was blacked out. So, a few times like that, you tend to lose jobs pretty quickly. So I was abusing anti-anxiety medications, I was drinking heavily, and all I did all night was get high and paint and watch Netflix while I painted, And my wife and I had plans to get married anyway. The relationship started at this kind of codependent relationship, to where she was enabling me. She didn't know it, but she was enabling me. I used her because she had a decent job, and with my parents' help, I kind of manipulated a situation where I would not have to work. And so, I said one night, I'm like, think about having a child. Brilliant idea, right? And I know, looking back inside, there was two reasons. Like, the first reason obviously was, well, if I have a child, I'm not going to get kicked out on the street by either my wife or my family. I'm not going to be abandoned, right? Second reason was, if I have a child, something miraculous will happen and I'll be inspired to clean up my act. So we had a child, and it worked at first, I guess. I did kind of like stop using, because I had a baby to take care of. My wife was the one working. So I had like this Mr. Mom role, to where, I'd take my kid on walks, and, I'd change diapers, and, I was just basically a mom. And I liked it, I liked hanging out with my daughter, and, I wasn't endangering her, but, when the wife would get home, I'd go, here's baby, and I'd go either drink or smoke weed and do my thing in my office, We decided to move in with my father-in-law for a little bit until she had the baby, and then she could get back on her feet. So I go to my father-in-law's. It's me, my wife, my two kids, our two cats, and we're in his master bedroom, and that's where we're living. And he drinks a little beer too. He likes to have a beer too. So he'd bring it home, he'd offer me one. By the time he went to bed, I finished the whole 12-pack, And I just do it over and over again, without any regard, So my daughter was two. And I just felt so defeated. I felt like the biggest loser. Felt so guilty, and I didn't want to live anymore. But I couldn't. I didn't have the strength, to purposely commit suicide. So my wife, she was in a lot of pain. So much pain that they don't prescribe oxycodone because it can irritate it, but they did it anyway just because she was in that much pain. So we come home and she's a little more cautious now. She's like, "Are you sure you can handle this?" And so right when she goes to sleep, she had a 10-day prescription. I took it all. She's not even upset. She's just pissed. She's like, "You either go to rehab or you get out. I'm done with this." I decided to go to the 12-step meetings, not because I thought I was an addict, but I thought, I've seen the movie Fight Club. Like, it could be a source of entertainment. I mean, you don't have anything else to do there but play like board games, and that gets old after a while. So I'm like, okay, I'll go be entertained at these 12-step meetings. Well, it wasn't long after that where like God literally laid it out for me, the plan to get out and to end my addiction. By the 3rd step, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm an addict. It never crossed my mind. I thought I self-medicated, There was something about those steps that just resonated with me. And I said, wow, I'm an addict. And looking back, the 12 steps they're like branched off from Christianity and Christian principles. And later on, it would help me connect the dots of how God intervened in my life. So when I got out, I started going to meetings and started just seeing a lot of love and just seeing the importance of surrendering. At that time, it was to a higher power. It wasn't Jesus yet. So falling asleep, and I remember just hearing like this audible voice. And God said, "Get to know my name." That's what I heard. Get to know my name. Because I had a vague concept of a higher power, but it's like, okay, I'll get to know God. I don't know how. Luckily, I was surrounded by just an enormous amount of very generous, very loving, and kind and patient Christians. I had gotten a job at a Christian company that I didn't deserve getting, but I got it anyway. And then when the work for that fell out, they just trained me up on something I had no experience whatsoever with, but they did it anyway. Through long conversations, I was able to understand and hear the gospel for what it was. And, as it says, those who have ears to hear, I was ready. I was ready to hear it. I was ready to surrender to it, really. And I felt like, being in NA and 12-step really trained me for surrendering to Jesus. So it wasn't like it was just a very long seasoning. I had the seed, but I was being watered, and I was able to sprout into, a good vine finally. The biggest thing that's been different about my life is I feel like God has inspired me to find a way to change and to find a way to like I feel like God is on a roadmap for me. No matter what situation I get in, there's always a path, right? God always lays out a path for me. He's always interacted with me in that way. And really the path is just to get closer to Him. So no matter what happens, like when my dad passed away suddenly last year, or this coronavirus thing, it's not like he's carving a path for like success or lots of money or women or like things that we consider worldly success. He's carving a path for my sanctification. And it's if there's anything, it just gives me a peace knowing that I'm on that path. And I might forget from time to time, but I always look to Scripture to come back to that path.